What's going on, YouTube? Metal Complex here, and welcome to episode 35 of The Knife Guy. If you are new to my channel or you just came out of some weird corner of the internet, I am a knife guy. I'm a knife user, knife collector, knife enthusiast, knife enjoyer of all sorts, of many sorts. And, we're all knife guys and gals in this knife world. We all sort of, became who we are, by going down our own unique paths and enjoying our own unique stuff. But many paths intersect, regardless of, what part of the knife world you exist in. And that's what this series is all about, is talking about those shared common experiences and just sort of digging into them. What I like to do is lay a whole bunch of knives out that are either mine or some of my generous viewers, and I like to just pick them up and flip them for your entertainment. Whether you're doing chores and you just want background noise, or you're driving and you want to listen, or you're actually watching. Some people like the visuals, of the knives clicking open, whether I'm actually talking about that knife or not, or just sometimes the sound of knives clicking open. I found that to be the case listening to Jim Skelton's old knife rambles. That's kind of what this series is based on. So I have adopted certain aspects of that in this. So what are we talking about today? A big part of my channel, is I like to just talk a lot. I mean, you guys know that about me, right? I like to talk about knives, which is the reason for all the discussion topics and the continuous knife guy content, blah, blah, blah. But I have my reviews, knives either end up as recommended or not recommended for one reason or another. I don't like to tear stuff apart, but I have, I've got my custom knife playlist, and you guys know I don't do reviews on custom knives. Why? Because it comes down to such a specific part of the knife community, people who want to spend that much money and are looking for a specific thing. On top of that, most custom knives are completely handcrafted and are not necessarily always the fruit of somebody's idea of the most perfected utilitarian design. No, oftentimes people create knives just that look awesome and that are made out of incredibly premium materials, but might not necessarily be geared towards utility. When I do a knife review, I try to consider not only materials used for the money, but also, ergonomics and utility and function, all that mixed with a bunch of other elements. So that's a big part of it, whether or not I recommend something. So for that reason, and because I can't make a knife, it doesn't make sense for me to critique somebody's custom work. So I don't do that, right? You guys know that. I either recommend or do not recommend high-end production knives all the way down to budget knives, and then I categorize them. I've got playlists: Metal Complex's most recommended knives and cheap knives I like. They're my two playlists, right? There's some foggy areas, some mid-tech, some super expensive production knives, that are not necessarily in there. I don't know what I'm going to do with this guy right here, but I'll tell you one thing, I really like it. The Holt Spectre V3. Anyways, the reason I'm telling you this is because there has to be some baseline in my mind. I have to have some baseline understanding of what I perceive as value, right? And I realize, well, everybody has that, but it's always different, right? So people come to my channel, or others like it. You don't have to listen to me. You can come to my channel and be like, oh, I wonder what Metal Complex thinks. That wasn't really what I was expecting him to say. I kind of disagree with him. I kind of want to go listen to see what somebody else thinks. And people do that for a number of different reasons. They do that to, maybe to help make an informed decision. Maybe they're looking for affirmation on something they've subconsciously already decided to do. It doesn't really matter, right? I'm more or less just here for your entertainment. And because, a lot of the stuff that you see here, you can you can buy down in the description. Not this stuff. A lot of this stuff you can't. I think maybe the smocks down there. And maybe the 0055. A lot of this stuff is... and the Rainbow Ladies down there. A lot of this stuff you're not going to find down there. Anyways, you come here to get a sense of value. Some people do. Or my ideas of value. And then they compare and contrast their own idea of value. Everybody has a different idea of value, right? And how we come to that conclusion is based on opinions. And those opinions come from personal experience, which is why I always say, it's okay to disagree, but it's never a good idea to tell somebody that they're wrong and that they can't think the way that they do. I mean, in some situations, it's like the conclusions that some people come to are not, like, they're just not right. It's like, let me make it really foggy. Like where people say, like, this is my opinion and opinions can't be wrong. Well, I mean, if you want me to take it to an extreme, I can give you an example of someone's opinion who is just wrong. I'm not going to, but I mean, use your imagination. The most extreme opinion you could possibly imagine, right? And how it affects the world. Maybe those types of opinions can be wrong, right? But we're not really talking about that. We're talking about how people, gain a sense of value. And I remember the first time I saw a Benchmade knife. It was priced at $125 or something like that. And I was like, what? $125? I remember going to a flea market and seeing swords for $30, right? How could a pocket knife cost more than a sword? Well, the problem there is that my idea of what a sword cost, right? And that was not based on quality. I had no idea. Listen, if you're new to the knife world or the cutlery world in general, and you paid $30 for a sword, you bought a piece of metal with a belt wrapped around the handle. That's what you buy. It's not ready to do anything. It's just a piece of metal, right? I mean, if you're happy with it, that's great. But, understand, you didn't buy a quality piece. I just assumed all swords were the same and some swords were just less expensive, or the people who were selling incredibly expensive swords were just out there to rip everybody's face off. In any case, it was based on a lack of understanding of what I bought, right? And also that I thought that swords, because they were larger blades, should indefinitely cost more money than folding knives. So how could a folding knife cost $125? You understand? So what I'm saying is and you guys know this, when people say, there's always somebody down in the comments section going, I'd never spend more than $40 on a folding knife. And I'm not trying to, I always do that accent. And it's mostly because I'm in Kansas and I use that accent for everything. I don't think I have an accent. Maybe I do. But there are some folks around here who talk like this, just as there are in any part of the nation. I grew up in Kansas. I have family members who talk like that. So anybody who's offended by that, I'm sorry. But sometimes I just do, right? I use that voice for a lot of things. I'm not necessarily making fun of anybody. But oftentimes that's who I hear around here when they say, I would never spend more money than that on a folding knife. Well, it's not necessarily their fault. It's based on, it's their own sense of value in an item, right? A hammer does exactly this. It hammers nails in, right? And it lasts X amount of time by different people's, experiences, right? So the value that you put on that based on what you know about what hammers cost, right? If you find a hammer that costs significantly more money and it just looks like every other hammer out there you've ever seen, you're not going to understand why it costs that much. You're not going to question what it's made out of, what other benefits there might be in a hammer that costs more. You're not going to question that. You're just going to go, now that doesn't make any sense to me, right? So everybody has their own individual sense of value, and it changes over time, especially in a corner of the world like the folding knife world, right? There's a massive difference. Just like there's a huge difference between a Toyota Yaris and a Pagani, or let's use what is the new crazy Lamborghini? The Centro Elemento? Something like that. I don't know. Whatever. The huge difference between a Toyota Yaris and a Lamborghini, right? Some people are going to go, oh my gosh, my dream car is a Lamborghini. It's built with such precision, such amazing performance in mind, the engineering that goes behind that, all of the, they put them in the wind tunnel and they consider the aerodynamics and oh my gosh, the seats are hand stitched, this and that. And then the person, there's plenty of other people out there going, what? I would never spend that much money on a car. All it's supposed to do is drive you from point A to point B. Why do I need all that other crap? Neither person is wrong. There's going to be people with strong opinions on both sides, right? What a waste of money. You could take that money and put it into charity. All right, there's a bajillion arguments. We could all be more charitable, right? Everybody could just go build a mud hut and unplug everything and sit in there and just eat berries and nuts and squirrels, right? And give all of our money and all of our earthly possessions to charity, but we're not doing that. So the argument for charity, that doesn't make sense, because when it comes down to it, we're all not willing to let certain things go. And I'm sure that I will get a nice, flamed up retort just for saying that. But anyways, sense of value comes from so many different directions. Oftentimes, I've had, most of the time when people disagree with me, it's just a little disagreement, and they're pretty cool about it, and I try to be cool about it. And the urge to just get in there with the gloves on, and it's there on both sides, or at least that's what makes me feel better. It's on the other side too. But I have to remind myself, this is just a civil disagreement, and it's okay to go, well, I guess I see your point, but I disagree with you, and then you part ways. Every now and then I got a few people telling me to, aggressively trying to get me to change my mind, or worse, trying to tell me how to run my channel. I don't like that. And also, let me just say this. No YouTuber likes that. Not just on YouTube. Anybody who's running a business, anybody who's raising a family, anybody who is making a purchase, anybody who is doing anything based on what they consider to be, a foundation of, their own personal foundation of knowledge, extensive knowledge on whatever it is that they're doing, and then they're acting on it. You can, I think it's perfectly okay to make suggestions and be like, I don't necessarily, it's your thing, run your thing. But telling people that they have to suddenly change the way that they're doing stuff, and I'm not trying to stand up on a soapbox and make this about the channel, anything. Telling people that, standing up and saying, I would never spend more than this amount, X amount on a folding knife, so you shouldn't either. That's wrong. That's wrong. You can advise them. You can give them a suggestion. You can say, I don't know. But it's just, our understanding of things is just, that's all the information we can apply to it up to this point in time, And some people have more or less information on a certain subject, more or less experience on a certain subject. So you just can't. Some people are going to go, I wouldn't spend anything less than $500 on a knife because I feel like I'm not getting quality until I spend that much money. Are they wrong? Not necessarily. It's just their own thing. So my point is, before I get too preachy, is that we all have a different sense of value. And on this channel, I do my best to try and consider all of the different people who are watching for all of the different reasons. That one's really hard. Watching for what reason, But there are, I feel like the vast majority of people who watch my channel. Now, there are plenty of people who are like, if I'm going to buy a pocket knife, it's $5 or less. Okay, but there's a lot more people out there that will spend up to $20 on a pocket knife, right? I feel like, this is just my perspective, I feel like of everybody in the entire world that would consider spending money on a pocket knife would spend up to $20, maybe $25 on a pocket knife. I feel like that is, where people feel like, if you spent $25 on a pocket knife, it's probably a good quality pocket knife, right? Now, they don't know that pocket knives get better. That's not their fault, right? And then there's a smaller population, not by a long shot, a smaller population that believes that folding knives, peak, right? Diminishing returns. I have an episode on this. Not a Knife Guy episode. It's just a discussion topic. If you want to find it, go to my playlist called Controversy and Discussion, or Discussion and Controversy. The point of diminishing returns is $50, right? Again, they're not wrong. The people who spend more aren't wrong. That's just where their sense of value is. And then there's another. It's 100, 150, 200. For me, I think these tiers literally go 20, 50, 100, 150, and that's where I'm at, by the way. It's around my sense of diminishing returns, where you're getting the most quality, the best bang for your buck, right? Because I've talked about the Hogue Ritter being the point of diminishing returns, but you can get Chinese knives that are G10 and M390 for less money. Yeah, but you don't get nearly as good of a warranty, which is definitely part of it, and that's why I still, to this day, stand at the point that, in my opinion, the point of diminishing returns is right around $150. Why? Because you're getting good materials. You can get, and I'm going to root for home manufacturing. Obviously, I live in the United States. M390, fantastic action, good warranty. Arguably, I know some people don't like Hogue's warranty, but availability of parts is what I'm trying to say. So that's where I get that, right? It's based on everything I've experienced and everything I know about the folding knife world and what else is available out there. The next tier, of course, is 200, then 250. Now at 250, I think there's a jump, because at $250, you've essentially reached the right around where people are like, I can get about as good as, the best production knives the world has to offer, or what you're getting from spending the money on a production knife. It kind of ends, it takes a sharp drop off at 250. Can you get a better quality knife for $250? Yeah, you can, but how much you're getting back for every dollar you spend, in my opinion, it takes an even sharper drop off than after 150. Right, you can get titanium with carbon fiber inlays, M390 drop shut action, and perfect ergonomics. And you can darn near get anything that you want, shopping through a multitude of different makers and designers and blah, blah, blah. So I think at that point, it kind of takes a jump up to about 350 to 400. Right around that area, you're into Sebenza, you're into Chris Reeve, Rick Hinderer territory, which is another tier of production. The quality definitely goes up. How much more you're getting, it's arguable, but oftentimes your choices, there's more customization that goes into it. You got a lot more, like guaranteed for life, sort of American made, in-house American made stuff. And then beyond that, I would assume, if we're talking anywhere from the $350 to the $500 mark, up from there, it's about $1,000 plus. And everybody has a different sense. There's not many people going, well, I'd spend $800 on a knife, but not $850. You know what I mean? It's like with every $50 you go up, it starts turning into 100, then 250, then $500 increments by tier, right? There are plenty of people out there who would spend $1,000 on a knife, but not $1,500. Or there's plenty of people out there who would spend $2,000 on a knife, but not $5,000, right? People who are going to spend $2,000 might not blink at $2,250, right? That's a $250 difference. But if they're spending $2,000, another $250 for a lot of those people, for me, I can't fathom it. I've never done it. But for a lot of those people, it's going to, you know what I mean? So it's going to change. I mean, I'm kind of beating a dead horse here. You guys are like, yeah, we get it. We got it 10 minutes ago. But everybody just has a different sense of value. So it's really difficult sometimes to say, I'd recommend this based on my own sense of value, right? My own sense of what people are after. I think there's plenty of people who watch my channel who are fully willing to spend anywhere from $20 to about $250. And if you look at my content, now here lately I've been blessed with a lot of really cool stuff, but it's really hard for me to recommend hyper expensive knives because the vast majority of people just don't see the value in it. And that there's nothing wrong with that. There's also nothing wrong with absolutely seeing the value in it. A lot of times I'll look at a knife and go, I don't see the value in it, but I want it. The Praetorian tie, the Medford Praetorian tie, that's at base a $1,200 knife. Do I think I was getting $1,200 worth of knife when I bought mine? No, but I bought it anyway. Because I wanted it, So don't listen to people who try to tell you how to spend your money, or, what type of political side to take, or what type of religion is right or wrong, or whether religion is okay, or what, whatever side of the fence you're on whatever topic. I think it's perfectly okay to have a discussion about, the pros and cons of seeing things from one perspective or another. But trying to force your thoughts on somebody else, trying to force your opinion as fact, and henceforth be accepted as fact from that person, you're wrong for doing that. Don't tell people how to run their stuff, how to spend their money, how to do their thing. It's their thing, right? They came to that conclusion on their own. You can offer, helpful advice. I hope that that's what I do on this channel. This is a preachy episode, and sometimes that happens. But just here, in the last week, I had somebody saying like, don't upload this, unless, it's this. You have to have exactly this information and see things exactly this way. And by the way, it was isolated. I'm not going to say who it was or what video, but he was basically the minority. I mean, everybody else who watched the video was in major support of it, loved the idea, loved the thoughts behind it. This one guy was like, I don't see things this way. Everybody's wrong. I'm right. You should take this upload down and not upload anything about it again unless you see things this way. And I was like, no. That's no, I'm sorry that you're by yourself in this thought or in a small group of people. And so when it comes to value, value is you can seek advice from channels like mine, but go around and watch other channels and get as much information as you can, and then compare and contrast with your own idea of value, and then make your best guess at an informed decision. You did the best that you could. I hope that this episode, made sense or helped people, or was at the very least entertaining, as I always say, is that value is just different for every single person. And I kind of like that. I kind of like that because it helps, in a way, I think it kind of helps expand the knife world, and different knives or different materials are made available to different price ranges and for different reasons. I mean, it also fuels the fires of discussion, which is exactly what this Knife Guy series is based on. So anyways, if you guys enjoyed this episode, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like. So check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.